Thank you all. It's great to see all of you here. Thank you for the invite. So here is what I want to do today. I have 17 minutes and 45 seconds. And I come here because I have a very selfish and personal motive. And I just want to be upfront with you. And the reason is this, right? When you graduate, there's going to be a line of corporates trying to hire you. There's going to be a long line behind us, trying to entice you with all kinds of compensation, benefits, all of that. I want to try and talk to you about something very different. I want to talk about public service. I want to talk to you about why it's important to do that. Not just now, but as the previous speaker said, when you turn 58. When you turn 58 and you walk away with the golden parachute from being the VP of marketing at Ogilvy and Mather, I want you to think about that. That is the goal that I have. The first speaker talked a little bit about the journey of the hero, right? He showed us several examples. If you haven't read Joe Campbell's work, Joe Campbell was a professor at NYU. Prior to Devdutt Patnaik, who was our mythologist, he was the original mythologist. Read his work. Read his work about the journey of the hero. One of the things that he says in that book, in his work, is that people relate to stories. People don't relate to facts. Numbers don't make sense. Stories do. So here's my story, right? I want to use two books as the bookends for today's talk. The first is this one. I didn't write it. Catherine Eban wrote. She's a New York Times reporter, a contributor to Vanity Fair. She is the one who wrote it, but it's my story. The second book is this book, which I did write with my co-author, Prashant Reddy. This just came out last October. And so I want to use these two books as bookends to talk a little bit about what really is my talk about, right? After the case broke in 2013, and I had learned a lot of things in the 8 years of that litigation, I went to see the health minister of India at the point. And they made me wait out of his office for about 2.5 hours, and he gave me 10 minutes. And in those 10 minutes, he was focused on television, while I was trying to tell him that, look, something needs to be done. I was very disappointed. He basically said, write a report to me and send it to me, and I'll deal with it. That was the first strike of the strike through. Then Prashant and I basically worked for a year, and we approached the Supreme Court of India with a public interest litigation and said, look, this is something needs to be done because this company that is the largest of Indian companies pled 7 counts of criminal felony for making bad quality drugs in the United States. And the same is happening here. Guess what happened? The Supreme Court said that was an academic issue, and they dismissed the PIL in 10 minutes. Mind you, this was the same Supreme Court in that same month had admitted a PIL to say that basically had said that people shouldn't be making Sardar jokes because they found it very offensive, or to bring back Kohinoor from the UK. That was the second strike. After those 2 strikes, the only available opportunity for me was to reach out to all of you, the people of India, and that is why this book is important. We wrote this book because we have no other alternative. We've exhausted the executive, we've exhausted the courts, and that's the reason why we wrote this book. And I'll talk to you about learning from mistakes, and today's conversation here, and essentially, where we are from where we started. Let me just give you a context because the story talks a little about context. My apologies. I think I disturbed my mic a little bit. My apologies. Let me ask you a few things. How was COVID? How was COVID? Because even if you had a lot of money, did you get the service you wanted? What was the hospitals, the private hospitals, were they able to service you? Who came at the end of the day to try and take care of the poor, the sick? It was the public hospitals. Do we invest enough in our public hospitals? And why don't we do that? Why is it so easy for us to essentially, go to a private hospital and get ourselves treated? What do you think happens to a poor farmer in Ahmedabad? There are great hospitals here. You get sick, you go see a doctor, right? What happens to the old farmer that is in rural Kutch? When that person falls sick, where does the person go? He goes to a medical store and he says, "Look, bhaiya kuch de dena kyunki sir dard ho raha hai." In our country, medicine is the first line of defense when it comes to health. It is not access to doctors. It is not access to hospitals. Because in the rural India, we do not even have primary health clinics. Nobody wants to go serve there. Right? And that is the reason why medicine is really, really important. So the reason I'm telling you the story is because this is a marketing college. You're learning to be good marketers. Here was my marketing challenge. How do I sell this message to the people of India who don't really care about medicine and falling sick unless you need that medicine and that service at that point in time? When do you think about medicine? It's when you're sick. You don't think about medicine when you're well. And by the time it's too late. You're vulnerable at that point, the most vulnerable that you are at that point in time. Right? So all of you sitting here, the young people of India, the marketers, how do you market to a client who doesn't even know that the thing actually is an issue? How do you create a market for that? What do? There is no big client paying you all this money, right? Look, all of you are going to be like big paying corporate jobs at some point in time. You're going to make a lot of money. No one's going to pay you a lot of money to do this kind of work. Right? Who does? Nobody does. The point I'm trying to make to you is that at some point in time, think about these things. Nations get built because people step up. Yesterday, when Bharg and was giving me a ride from the airport to the hotel, we passed through the Gandhi Ashram. Think about what that generation did to build this country. What they went through. We were nothing in 1947. Our GDP was nothing. We couldn't even make basic medicine at that point in time. Look at where we are. You think that happened just because things fell in place? It happened because good people stepped up. This is a city of industrialists like Sarabhai who actually built something in the city. You are the beneficiaries of that. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. There's a time to give back to the society that you come from, right? Now, I'm going to very quickly run through a few things that I learned as a part of this marketing process that resulted in this book. It's very different than the ad campaigns that you guys run. This is what we did, okay? We wrote a bunch of op-eds. Anytime that we found something that was different, we wrote an op-ed. And this is a challenging thing. Newspapers don't like op-eds. They want you to fit your message in 800 words. They make you run around and rewrite, and you don't have any control over the title of the piece anyway. This is also a part of marketing. Learning to write concisely, to get your message out there so that the reader reads. And there's several of these. I'm just going to flip through many of these, but going on television shows, talking to people, because today's, your age people, you like watching YouTube. Go out there. Believe in what you do, right? Talk to people about it. Do Twitter spaces. Do Clubhouse events. Engage with people. Try to make them understand this is important. Again, a lot of examples of what we have done. And what happens in doing this is, remember, the challenge is that you're challenging the status quo. You're challenging India today, for better or for worse. The only manufacturing success we have is the pharmaceutical industry. IT is different, IT services. You challenge this industry, they'll come after you with all guns blazing. the government sent us a threatening letter saying we're trying to defame the nation of India. I would defame the nation of India? I'm here trying to change your mind, the young people of this country? You will run into the situations when you are in public service. Don't be disheartened. Your job is to make sure that the people of India understand what you're doing, because 9 out of 10 times, we have so many things to worry about. Little things in life that don't work in our country, right? We don't pay attention to what we need until we absolutely need it. Don't let them run you around. It's okay. When bullies come at you, stand up. They'll back down. Have the facts on your side. What did Gandhiji say? Truth, right? Get the fear of going to jail away from you. Then you'll become what you need to become. 6 more minutes. The second thing I want to talk about is when you become 58, when you finished your responsibilities to your family, to yourself, you earned a lot of money, you've become the VP of marketing, won several awards that you can showcase in your office. Think about building institutions. I was in Bangalore the other day. A scientist who was working in one of these science organizations came up to me and said, you know what, we're in a really bad shape because I can't afford to pay my PhD students. They're all on a government scholarship. The government doesn't pay on time. And finally, she got so frustrated, she went to Delhi. And she went to the Department of Science and Technology and said, either you tell me that you're not going to pay me on time, or I'll let these people go, because I can't really drag these people along. And the gentleman who's sitting up there says, why didn't you come to me before? Had you come to me, I would have approved this right away. Second day, the money came in, the students got paid. Is that how we build institutions? Is that how we build institutions? Because an individual making that decision, is that what we want? We want people, powerful people, make decisions for us? Institutions are built because we put process in place, systems in place. Institution is not the walls. Institution is the faculty sitting here who are trying to inculcate what she said. How do you break through and strike through the hurdles that is what her job is, changing your mind when obstacles come your way. What we do is basically try and build institutions. We give grants to people who do research. I'm sorry, I'm just going to click through this because the movie's probably not playing. So if you could just go to the next slide, that's fine. Don't worry about it. It's a movie in there. It talks about grants we make. Just skip through, doesn't matter. All I'm saying to you here today is this. You're in a great place. Young people are the future of this country. How many times have you heard about the demographic dividend? Do you honestly think that we have taken advantage of the demographic dividend in this country? Ask yourself that. Are you the beneficiary of that demographic dividend? Ask yourself that. And if you don't, what is it that you're doing? The young people of this country, what are you doing to change that? At some point in time, you have to become involved in the public process. If you want your children and their children for them to inherit a country that actually works and not become a basket case like Venezuela, you have to get involved. You have to say these things out loud, even if you're called an anti-national, because you know you're not an anti-national. Your heart is in the right place. You're trying to do the right thing for the people of India. And if you don't, you can't blame anybody else. When you get to 70, then you'll become a crappy old person basically complaining about everything that's going wrong around you. And then, when you look at that sheet that was framed for the previous speaker, when she was 2 and she wrote down what she wanted to become, and you look back at, she was fortunate that somebody saved that copy and reminded her how aspirational she was when she was 5. So that she could look back and say, what have I accomplished in my life? Get those people in. Could we just forward, please? No, just keep it go. I have 1 minute. to try and finish. If you could just fast forward the slides, if you could, if this thing works. I was going to end with this message, okay? All young people, what did I learn? You have to find 3 people in your life, not 3 people, 3 role models in your life. The first role model you need is your true north. Somebody who actually tells you the truth the way that it is, okay? Yeah. So, perseverance is a very long journey. It's an uphill battle. I've been fighting this for 10 years right now. Change does not come easy when you're going up against very vested interests, right? It's becoming more and more difficult to seek accountability. So this is my last message to you. And these are the people who made a difference in my life. Find these people. Find these people in your life and you'll be much better off. The first person you need is your true north. Find the person who will tell you what is right from wrong. And when you find that person, hold on to that person, never let go. That's your true north. The second person you need is your shield. Captain America has a shield, Marvel movies, right? Your Suraksha Kavach. This is the person who basically will defend you when stuff is thrown at you. And the third role model you need is your bullshit detector. Sorry, maybe I shouldn't say that, but that is a true case. Lots and lots of things will come at you. You need your BS detector. Find these 3 people, these 3 role models, and you'll do very well in your life. Thank you very much for having me.